Hello everyone, it's Friday night and it is time for the Weekender once again. On this week's show I'm joined by Justin, surviving the Walking Dead, Ben, bricking it over World War II, and I'm looking at some fantastic flats and fantasy. On top of that, we also have a gift voucher of £50 that can be won by one lucky commenter here on YouTube or over at OnTableTop.com. Pop a comment below the video and you could be in the chance to win a £50 voucher from Wayland Games. Now sit back, relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody, we're back from UKGA, you lucky sons of... I can't say that.
Well, let me put it this way with Warren's Drive. We didn't crash. Surprise.
Yeah. You survived a storm and all sorts of things.
All sorts, yeah.
Honestly, the storm wasn't that bad. I woke up middle of the night on the boat and it was just like up, down, left, right. Okay, I feel like I'm being rocked in the crib. This is fine.
Oh, that's nice.
Kept setting car alarms off below decks, mind you.
Fair
for them what forgot to turn them off.
Yeah.
Yep. Forgot or didn't know how, because they're idiots. Who could say? But
Your first
they're in charge of a
mistake was
car,
pushing people.
so be lucky on the roads. Is that how that goes? Speaking of UKG, if you missed any of last week because you were away or you didn't care, I don't know.
I don't know.
Under a rock, all of that. We've got it all up on the website, so you can go through things like the live blog where there are, you can ignore that because that live stream schedule was now 7 days out of date, but you know, God willing.
You can skip to it when you're watching the live streams though. So,
okay. Oh yeah. See what's coming up next. See where the incorrect times are. You can go through the live blog. There are also 3 highlight reels, which are like an hour and a half long each, for the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But then there's the individual videos in here. There's photo galleries and stuff as well. And then you can also see the live streams themselves by soup up to the top, because the live streams had a ton of interesting interviews with a whole range of companies as well. So you can rewatch those and skip the bits you can't be bothered with because it's all in the past now. Not like the old days when we had to watch it as it happened, like last week. Those before times. It's all gone. It's all in the past. Now you can just go,
long ago.
Free League. I will skip forward. Ooh, Tunnels and Trolls.
There you go. Yeah.
I hope they've got fairies. We're all thinking that.
So, small 8-inch tall death machine.
Mm-hmm.
Can be, unless somebody's brought a fly swap. In which case, shit out of luck.
My one weakness, how did you know?
Or bricks, 2 bricks, just slam them together. It's another good way to deal with fairies. There's lots of ways to deal with fairies.
So
I think Nicholas got very, very lucky.
You make that your BBEG and it's just like mid-exposition. Whap.
I don't know what a BBEG is.
Big bad evil guy.
Oh, okay. Right. You kids with your TLAs.
I know. Yes.
Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. So we had a modicum of fun at UKG. I've still got a voice, barely. And I don't think anybody's come down with some sort of horrendous COVID yet.
Don't say it.
No con lurgy.
Don't say it. I've got to go and play Frosthaven this weekend. I don't want to get ill.
So. Oh, you'll probably catch off one of them instead.
Yeah, that's true.
Although I'm happy. I broke out The Walking Dead for me and the missus last night. She learned how to play until she made the mistake of firing a gun while Carl was surrounded by 5 zombies.
Carl.
There was no Carl.
Got torn apart by horses.
Yeah.
You know.
Rick is a terrible father.
Children are just there to die anyway, as we learned from Negan.
I'm just waiting to rock Sophia with the chainsaw.
There you go.
Old favourite.
Why would you give her any sort of weapon?
Because it's hilarious imagining a small child running around the zombie apocalypse with a chainsaw.
You've gone wrong, mate. It's a waste of points.
You're the one who did it first.
I didn't. He never got changed. None of them got any equipment. Negan gets action points when he smashes the heads of one of his companions in. Therefore, children are the cheapest source of action points for Negan.
Negan has gone wrong.
You take like 5 kids, and anytime you need to do something else, you bop one of them upside of the head, and you move on with your life. They've not experienced much, and most of what they've experienced is horrors. It's a kindness.
Oh, your thoughts on a postcard?
Yep. Stuck down envelope will also work. Anyway, so yes, UKG in the past, but there's still plenty of good stuff in there if you missed out. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to miss out, you've only got about 2 weeks left on the Spring Clean Challenge. It ends on the 21st of June. So it's rushing in there if you've been working away on something. I mean, you don't have to finish, to be brutally honest. We do not take completeness as a criteria for victory.
Very true.
However, if you are still working away on stuff, you've got a few more weeks of tinkering and uploads into the project system to do to try and get those bits and pieces out the way. So that's enough updates. I think it's time to say hello, Ben. Hello, Justin.
Hello.
Ready for the weekend?
Let's do it.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, then, kicking off the news this week. Something very, very big, but it's very, very small.
Yes. There's been a rake of these at the moment. But going over to the folks at TT Combat, they have now started taking pre-orders for their new spin-off game that is based in the Drop universe, as they call it, and set against the backdrop of Dropzone Commander. This is Operation Artemis, which is the brand new mech-based battle game that you can get your hands on right now from these folks. Premise of it is that you will take on the role of PHR pilots, so the post-Human Republic pilots that you see there in the middle, who have been sent to a backwater world to find, capture, destroy by officer beacons, which are the new faction that was added into Dropzone Commander and Drop Fleet Commander recently, to get their hands on the important information that they contain. However, said beacons are not safe as houses, just, tidily hidden away somewhere in a nice secure facility.
Why would they be?
Instead surrounded, mostly, by megafauna. So, what the PHR pilots have now got to contend with is the fact that they now have to try and battle massive alien beasts that are looking to rip them limb from limb and feast on the lovely, sweet innards of the pilots within said mechs. As you can see them there, looking rather nice indeed. So this is it's obviously a really nice return to the PHR with some very cool new mechs and things for you to throw into your games there. So if you're a big fan of things like Pacific Rim or Battletech and all that kind of thing, this could be a nice inroad for you into the Drop universe. And then it's also nice to see more from the sort of wildlife side, I suppose, of the Drop universe with those big alien creatures stomping around on the tabletop. Now, the set comes with pretty much everything you need to get playing. In fact, it comes with everything you need to get playing. You get all of the miniatures, you get the terrain that you can see there, you get the game mat that can fold away, you get all your cards and everything else like that, your stats, and there's also a quick start guide in there, so you can just pop things out and start playing once you've assembled the minis. But talking a little bit about the mechanics and stuff for this game, as you might imagine, it is a sort of like wave-based, objective-focused game where you'll be diving into 5 different scenarios, and of course more will possibly be on the way, where you'll be trying to get your hands on those by-officer beacons and get out alive. Now, the game sort of starts off with sort of minimal threats, as you can see the kind of little flyer fauna there in the right-hand side of the image. They're going to be sort of coming in to begin with, sort of harassing your mechs and stuff on the tabletop. But the folks who have designed this have added in a noise and threat mechanic. So as you start to fire your guns and kill creatures, bigger and bigger ones are going to start spawning onto the tabletop and hunting you down. So there's a sort of level of risk and reward based in there. Do you go big and try and clear out as many enemies as possible first, try and secure the beacons as quickly as possible? Or do you start off small, trying to like maybe hide and sneak around in your mechs, trying to get to the beacons as close as possible before unloading all your guns, because as soon as you start, going hell for leather, those big beasts are going to come out and start chomping on you. And
in come the ass blasters, and you're done for.
I mean, it is still stealth if everything's dead.
That's very true. But you kill baby, mama will be round the corner. So.
That's fascinating, because they obviously have that in Drop Fleet. Andy Chambers had the thing where the more you fire, the more you do, the bigger the energy spike is, which makes it easier for you to spot. That sort of style of spiking mechanic wasn't really in Dropzone.
Dropzone, no.
So I'm wondering if that's a little where they've looked at that and went, you know what, that's fascinating. We can sort of incorporate that into the ground-based game where the more you do, the higher the escalating threat becomes.
Yeah. It makes sense, I think, to kind of like ramp up the tension as you're diving into the games, which would be really fun.
Yeah. It also means you really have to consider what your tactical options are. Do you go in for a quiet kill? And yes, it's a lot slower, but going big there's got to be a tipping point in this game where it's just like, okay, hell no, we're doing this.
Yeah, drop the beam saber or whatever. Let's just bring the guns to bear and blow things out of the water. So yeah.
Are these resin then, or are these plastics?
I'm not actually. I think they're new plastic kits because TT Combat have been diving into doing those a lot more, and I think they've kind of designed this as sort of like a battle in a box type of affair. So you can sort of pick it up if you're kind of essentially new to it.
Are we still in the 10 or the 10 mil scale? Yeah,
it's all still 10 mil. So it fits in with everything else that exists.
Regular Dropzone as well.
Yes. Yeah, you could slot them in, and away.
I need to stop calling them PSR though.
Well, the thought for me is, if you get this and you want to see, well, what would happen if it was one of the other factions doing this on the ground? To switch out the PHR for, say, the Scourge, see how they would handle it.
You need to work out how the decks work.
That's true. Yes. That's come up with new cards. I'm sure the community will do that, though.
Presumably, the other factions will come into this. It would just be a one and done, because it would make little to no sense of just limiting them that way. Yeah.
So just a clarification, yes, it's 20 multi-part plastic minis.
Oh, it's smashing.
So there you go. And then you also get the card buildings, as you can see there, which are sort of quick pop together things alongside the mat. So
populate your little 10 mil world.
Yeah. I always did like the cardboard terrain that you got with Dropzone Commander.
So it's really
nice. Good. It's nice to see a new version for this.
Yeah, did the job very nicely. And as I say, hopefully this will be a good entry point for people who want to maybe have a look at the Dropzone universe, but don't necessarily want to go in and buy themselves a large army. So yeah, very nice.
The year is 3076. And Man City's PSR is still under attack. Only their lawyers can hold it off. Someday we'll see the result of those 115 charges, but not this day. Anyway, sorry.
It's amazing the legal battles they get stuck in.
I mean, that's where it is in the future. It's all about the legal battle. Right. Pushing away from one game that's getting a bit of an expansive upgrade to another that's coming all guns for the horizon for a new edition.
Yeah. So over the last couple of weeks, we have looked at some of the sort of starter crews that Wyrd Games have been working on for their new edition of Malifaux. But last week, we got to get a look at the brand new starter set that they've been designing for the game. So the previous crews that we looked at were plastic miniatures that you had to assemble. So they're taking the sort of like standard line of minis and allowing you to dive in and, build them and paint them and all that kind of thing. But with the starter set, we're getting the kind of the same style of design that we've seen from previous ones, where they all come as pre-assembled miniatures in the set. So you're simply able to just pop them out and get playing without even having to put any paint on them at all, of course. Now, the new starter set is something quite kind of different from what we've seen in the past from Malifaux. We tend to see them kind of focus on the sort of pulpy, steampunky side of things in previous iterations of this, where you get sort of, fire and brimstone and witch hunters and all that kind of stuff popping up all over the place. But with this one, they have gone like totally left field and dived into the weird and the wonderful side of Malifaux and Wyrd's range. So in this set, you get two full crews. You get the Ampersand and the Banished. The Ampersand are led by the Clockwork Queen. the matriarch of the machine, who you can see on the left there. And she is in control of essentially the forgotten toys almost of the realm of Ampersand. So in this place, which is basically a clockwork city, machines are built to fulfill certain tasks, and some of them don't meet the grade. And so the Clockwork Queen has brought together the Bucket Bot, Steiner, the Fortune Teller, and 3 mechanical misfits to sort out whatever problems she might find arising as she heads off to go and do her own little missions.
I think this is my faction.
Malifaux. It's really nice. I like it, actually.
I love the player piano that they've just put a bolt thrower on top of.
Yeah, that's quite a mechanical upgrade and customization option, I think.
That's a hell of a key, though.
Yes.
What piano did that come out of?
The Mega Piano, yeah. The other set that you get with this is the Banished.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's another set. Yeah.
Yes. So the Banished are led by the Silken King, and they are a faction that were sort of trapped beneath the waves in a ocean-based prison. And now they've sort of worked their way loose, and they are looking for a little bit of revenge on the surface world. So you have the Silken King there over on the left, who is backed up by the Urchin, the Silent Siren, which is an interesting phrase. The Colony, which is that rather interesting mix of tentacles and all sorts of other strange
all
things.
The jellyfish.
Yes. And then 3 of the Shorebound Sentinels, which you can see on the right-hand side, or your sort of like reef monsters. Now, what I quite like about this set is it's very different from what we've seen before. So if you already have miniatures for Malifaux, this could be something that you could go and pick up and would easily slot into your collection quite nicely. It also feels like a ridiculously easy set for you to paint and get ready for the tabletop, because the Ampersand crew look like you could just dry brush the hell out of them with metallics and wood and all that kind of thing, and they'd be done and dusted. And the Banished feel like they would be perfect for speed paints, contrast paints, just sort of really making them pop very quickly.
Super thin fluos on these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you could put together really nice looking crews very, very quickly for your first games of Malifaux, which I think is quite beginner friendly in the grand scheme of things. Of course, you could go all out with them, do all sorts of different things with these, paint them however you like. But if you're new to Malifaux, this certainly seems like a good entry point. Alongside the 2 crews, which are those pre-assembled plastic figures, you'll also get everything else you need to play. So there'll be the quick start guide in there, so you'll learn the rules as you start going. There's the 2 fate decks themed to each of the crews, and that's the kind of like core mechanic of Malifaux. It uses cards and a hand of cards rather than dice when you're playing, and you can sort of cheat fate, hence the name Fate Deck, with those to kind of like make sure that things go in your favor. You'll also get your widgets and all your tokens and everything as well in there. So it is a proper 2-player starter set for you to dive into, and all you'll need is a little bit of a play space and some terrain, and away you go. Very nice.
It is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
I really like the look of it, because it is, like you say, just so ridiculously out there compared to the other things we've seen. From the original Malifaux, which was steampunk Old West on a weird world.
Yes.
And then they've gradually expanded. Now they're just going, you know what? There's more stuff out there than you think, /know/want to know about. And I've also got the Sequest DSV thing stuck in my head now. So I'm Bob Ballard. Anyway, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many Ampersand forces make it on the tabletop. I have a feeling most people are going to be coming down on that side.
I think so.
But, you know,
for those that love their HP Lovecraft, the other side's kind of got a nice hook to it.
Yeah, reef creatures and all that kind of thing.
Not Lovecraftian enough for me.
More non-Euclidean shapes required.
Not enough for tangs.
Not enough for not enough fishy-looking people from the fishing ports there. I mean,
don't worry, they do exist in Malifaux. You will find.
I know they do. Yeah. But I have a sneaking suspicion a lot of them will share keywords. So potentially you can always add the colony in. I do look forward to seeing the colony rising around the tabletop all over the top of people.
Should be very fun.
Whether they want to rise or not.
Yeah.
Just go all Lions Mania on people and off you pop.
Yes. Yeah,
cracking.
very true. Yeah.
Lions
Inspiration from nature.
Yes.
Oh, just painted to look moist.
Squamous.
Moist, the worst word in the English language.
Oh.
That's why I have to use it. Just I gotta put that shiver up your spine.
I don't mind moist.
Ben does.
Or squamous, though. That's better. Slick yet hairy. Anyway, a bit of a new, I was about to say RPG. Yes. Then I noticed a big TT on that. And before we get into this news story, people at home, we need to stop using TT in front of RPG. Role-playing games came first.
That is true.
If people want to differentiate them from what's on a computer, you could just call those computer games.
There you
so
go.
not role-playing games.
Or CRPGs.
CRPGs. There you go.
DW RPGs.
Yeah.
Digital wank. Not an RPG. So I will be going in later on and removing the TT from that story when nobody's looking.
New tag coming to Steam anyway. Very soon.
So yes, but this one you got a chance to have a bit of a chat about at UKG.
I did.
As well.
Yeah.
Tell us all about Daggerheart.
Yeah. So if you're a long-time viewer of the show and all that kind of thing, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Critical Role and their stories that they've been telling over the last couple of years. Recently, over the last year or so, they've been starting to develop their new role-playing game, their own unique system, which is called Daggerheart, as you can see here.
Is that a frog cleric?
It is. That's what's called a ribbit in their world, which is very nice. So Daggerheart is their entirely unique system, devoid of D&D 5th edition mechanics and all that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
And the focus of the game is that it has been sort of designed as a very narratively driven, player-focused RPG. So one of the core principles of Daggerheart is that the GM obviously builds the world and designs the kind of adventure and that kind of thing, but there is a real onus on the players to have an influence in the flow of gameplay and the flow of story. So it's got that sort of cooperative storytelling element that I know a lot of people will be familiar with from other RPGs over the last few years. It's not a new concept. The actual system of the game is driven by 2d12s, which is great. The d12 is one of the most forgotten dice in all of D&D. And so to have that back at the forefront is really, really nice to see with their unique system. And you have both hope and fear when you're rolling your dice. So you'll be looking for target numbers, and then you'll either succeed based on which the dice is higher, the hope or the fear dice, with hope or fear. If you get hope, that is a resource that the players can use to fuel some of their actions. If you get fear, that gets given to the DM, and they can use it to channel their powers and their monsters and all that kind of stuff. It's a very simple, quick, and easy system. If you watch some of the Let's Plays and actual play things that they've done for the game, you'll see that you can sort of like grok it in a couple of minutes of watching them play. The other thing I really like about it is that there's a real twist to the way combat works in Daggerheart. It starts with the players, and the players continue to go until they roll with fear, in which case, or they fail, and then it flips over to the games master, and they do as many actions as they feel fit before passing it back to the players. So there's a real onus on that kind of back and forth and the flow of combat rather than it being a rigid initiative system. So you're encouraged as players to cooperatively work together when you're in a combat to be like, okay, well, if you go now and see if you can succeed in this thing, and then I'll follow on from you. Oh, no, you failed. Oh, man, it switched back over to the games master and that kind of thing. So there's a really nice back and forth between it, and it makes it feel a little bit more dynamic and a bit more Hollywood and sort of action movie style, which I think is quite nice.
It feels more storytelling focused because it would kind of be common sense of, right, let's say your party has just been fighting some small gribbly creatures and you've just killed like half of them in one round. Clearly, those small gribbly creatures are either A, going to be severely pissed off and be coming for you, or B, really scared and like hesitant. So your DM kind of has a choice there of what way do I think the monsters would feel right now, which is a bit of a different thing to have to explore.
Very true. The other thing I really like about the game is that the character creation of Daggerheart is incredibly open. So you have all of the sort of like classic fantasy lineages, races, etc., however you want to talk about it, that you'd expect. So you've got your humans, your elves, your dwarves, your all that kind of stuff. But then you also have like clanks, who are your sort of like warforged adjacent creatures. You've got your ribbits, as we were talking about here, little frog fellows. You've got fawns and satyrs and all that kind of stuff in there. There's like little turtle type creatures as well. So if you want to play as a big lumbering turtle person, you can. And then from there, you can choose backgrounds and all sorts of different things that will influence the way that your character develops. So every single time you sit down to play, yes, you could create your sort of like, Dritz style character, but you're very much encouraged to kind of go off the wall and create something new and unique. The other thing I really like are the domain cards, which come as part of the set, which they're all free online, by the way. So if you just want to, grab the downloads for those and sort of use them, you can. But obviously, it's nice to have the lovely, nice cards that they've developed.
Yeah,
for this
set.
I
want the professional shiny ones.
Yes. And these are used to essentially build your characters and build up your class as you're playing. So each character class is based off 2 domains, and you'll either be able to go down one route and just sort of really focus on it, or you could split between them. And it means that you can create really diverse and interesting characters like, mage knights and all that kind of stuff. So you can really sort of expand things out and sort of take things in different directions. And hopefully that will mean that more domains will come up as new classes get added into the mix in further expansions and supplements. The game itself also doesn't have any one world. You're encouraged to kind of just make up your own, but there are a selection of settings at the back of the book, one of which they are playing through at the moment on Critical Role, which is the Age of Umbra, which is very sort of Dark Souls focused. So if you're interested in that kind of mood, you can go down that route. But then they've also got a number of other settings in the book that you could sort of dive into and sort of explore at your leisure if you were looking for some ideas and some tips for a GM. Now, all that being said, yes, Daggerheart has currently completely sold out online because it was much anticipated. But they are hoping to get more on their stores across the world around the middle of June. So you can sign up to be notified of when the book will be available once again. However, they are also saying that they'll be on Amazon, because obviously they've got a relationship with them because they did the animated series. So Amazon will be stocking the book in July at the start of that. And they also have a series of independent stockists that they work with quite closely around the world, and they will also be able to get their hands on the books very, very soon as well. So you should be able to get it at your friendly local gaming store or online in the next couple of weeks. When we did the interview over the weekend for UK Games Expo, I was talking to Katie from Darrington Press, and I said, after the interview, I don't suppose you've got any left over. I'd love to have one. And she went, no, this is my copy. I have no more. They sold out in 10, 15 minutes of the show opening. So
it sounds fun. I kind of want to make like a ribbit rogue who can do like poison spell casting. Could be fun.
Yeah, you could easily do that.
I will name him Rene.
There you go.
Rene the ribbit rogue.
There we go.
I would just deal cards out randomly, as is my want in life.
You could do that as
just
well.
To see what happens.
Yeah, you could be like, I'll just take my 2 domains and just throw a couple of level 1 cards on, just see what I get, and go from there. There's loads of sort of impetus for you to be as creative and diverse as you possibly can be with this game, and I think it's got legs. I think it'll actually work as a really nice system for people moving forward. And I can't wait to see what they do with supplements and expansions.
Everybody said that Wizards of the Coast were being terrible whenever they decided that they would absolutely ruin D&D for all independent writers. But in actual fact, they've opened up the world to so many better games.
They really have. Yeah.
Give D&D the heave-ho, people. Try something else.
Try something new.
Try something that doesn't go around that sodden D20 for once, actually, as well.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I think that's enough news to percolate and digest for a little while. Let's check out a bit of an indie of the week.
I saw this over the weekend. We talked with the team behind it. They were kind enough to give us a starter set and a whole bunch of different bits and pieces.
I have some here in the office. I was like, there you go. Why do we have this? What
for
what
fun?
Is? What is?
And I was kind of besotted with them, and I thought it'd be actually pretty awesome to dive in and give them a proper Indie of the Week segment so we can talk a little bit about what they're kind of doing. So, BricksKrieg, as the name might suggest, is a brick-based Lego type, think Lego style miniatures war game where the creators have dove in and built up all the sorts of things that you might expect from a World War II battlefield. Now, they have been developing this for years, and it was all sort of driven by the creators' desire to not have to really paint anything anymore and play games like they did back in the 80s, which was to say, just bash some things together, maybe get your old kits that you might have in the back of the wardrobe or something like Lego and all that kind of thing, and then just start playing very simple, quick and easy rules on the tabletop, on the floor, on the carpet, surrounded by books as hills and all that kind of stuff as well.
Jumpers.
And that idea has developed and expanded beyond anything that anyone could have thought into what you see here now. So, currently, as part of the BricksKrieg range, they have a couple of different options for you to dive into when you're sort of getting stuck into this. So they do have starter sets for you to start playing around with. And they come with 2 full armies for you to start playing their game. Now, a lot of people will have seen people online playing BricksKrieg with the likes of bolt action rules and that kind of thing, and you can very easily do that. But they also have their own set of simple rules that they developed, which are available for free, that you can download from their website and start playing with them if you like as well. And they're pretty fun. I know when I was talking to the creator that they've had, like, you know, oldie fuddy-duddy veterans and grognards and all things playing the game, as well as sort of young kids and everything, and they've both equally enjoyed it, which I think is really fun. In the sort of core sets, as you can see there, you get the British and the Germans, although they've also done a US version of that as well, for the US to fight the Germans, which is quite nice. So you've got a couple of different options on that front. And every single one of the miniatures, I say miniatures, kits, has been designed to as closely match as possible the real world vehicles. So you get your little infantry with their Panzerfausts and all that kind of, and their Panzerschrecks and their little rifles and their recoilless rifles for taking out tanks. And each of the little designs has been meticulously done to try and mirror the silhouettes of said vehicles as closely as possible. So, like, I think you'll agree, if you were looking at that from afar, you'd think, oh, it looks a lot like a Sherman. A lot of the German tanks look like you'd expect them to, like Tigers and all that kind of stuff as well. And I think it's been absolutely ingenious, the kind of way that they've built up these kits and used essentially a kind of condensed set of tools to create these things, because the sort of imagination and the creativity that has gone into this is phenomenal, in my opinion.
That was the thing that blew me away when I seen you chatting to them at UKGE, was how well they'd managed to create the silhouettes.
Yeah.
Because that has the distinctive profile of a Panzer IV. There was a Jagdpanzer on the table. Actually, a Jagdpanther. Let's not blur the lines on that one. And it looked absolutely fantastic, even if Carius did say it was the worst AFE he'd ever had the misfortune of being in charge of. But still, it was, it's very distinctive. The 88 aircraft / anti-tank gun looked spectacular. And the fact they've managed to do it all via the medium of Lego bricks and components is absolutely batshit.
No, I assume these aren't official Lego bricks.
No, they're sort of building bricks. Yeah.
But there is no brick in there that you can't get from the Lego range.
Oh, so it's Lego compatible?
Yes.
Okay.
So they've managed to get, there's nothing bespoke in here. They haven't gone, we need to make a tool to make a piece that looks like this. They've gone through it and went, how can we make these? And this,
based on
just that, is insane. If
where was the 40s look amazing.
Never mind those. Have you seen so there's your MG42 style or some form of a, well, that's British, so it's probably not, but it's actually using the hands from a Lego man to make the bipod. So they've just gone, we just need black arms / hands, and that's how we were going to make our bipods. Likewise for the presumably Sten-like ammo clip out the side there on the machine guns.
Just what would have been
it's just another hand.
Yeah.
That detailing that they've managed to get from such a specifically limited set of pieces without having to make it massive. And that's the main thing. All the vehicles are small. All the men are like 4 pieces, whatever it is,
Yeah. It does look like you can take them from standing to prone just by rebuilding them slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that in a game because you need one of those special levering things to get your very small layer high bits apart.
If you're doing a slight rebuild between missions, it looks like you can do that just from the exact same set of bricks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the beauty of Lego.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by just how good they've got the things like the Cromwells and stuff. It's just, it is spanking.
It's such a great idea for people who, because like I want to play more World War II, but one of the things that always gets me is the painting of all of it and all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so having the ability to just add vehicles, troops by the dozen, and all things to the tabletop very, very quickly. It's just it's incredibly intriguing, and it means that you can play some massive battles, small battles, skirmishes, all sorts of different things.
But it properly feels toyetic, like it feels like toys that you're just playing war games with.
Yeah.
So
you got to make the noises.
Oh, is that the British landing craft? That's nice.
Yeah, so obviously you've got each of the kind of like sets that we were looking at before, but this is
gun carrier.
Yeah. The thing that I really loved, I mean, I'm a massive sort of air combat fan. So seeing the Hawker Hurricanes,
yes,
I was like, you need to put some planes in the bag, so we can look at the planes.
Put the planes in the bag and nobody gets hurt. Is that what you said?
Pretty much. Yeah.
While holding a knife just out of camera shot, just at waist level.
A little tiny brick-based knife.
Brick-based knife.
But yeah, so like this is what's available already for the British side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at specialist units with HMGs, mortars, Piats, troop transports, variants of tanks like the Churchill and the Cromwell, which all again look like their sort of miniature counterparts or their real world counterparts. And everything has been designed so you can also buy its single figures as well if you want. So you can buy single like teams and that kind of thing just to bolster things out.
How many games do you have where your infantry unit costs you £9?
Exactly, yeah. It's such a great idea for people who want to get into wargaming but don't want to have to worry about the painting and all that kind of thing side of things. And also just make it engaging for people and eye-catching. So I think you're going to draw a lot of people in to this if you were playing at your local club and you'd sort of set up your table. They'd be like, what are you guys doing over there?
Well, hang on, Ben. Yeah. What we brought home, does that have the rulebook in it?
Well, the rulebook's free online. I believe there is also a book in the starter set, I think, as well.
Okay. I'm going to go have a gander.
There you go. So you'll be able to check that out.
It has intrigued
these rules.
Me.
Yeah, there you go. The simple rules that you can download there. So it is all, rules-wise, it's all sort of like D6 based as you're diving in. There's a very simple system for dealing with shooting, and it sort of changes slightly when you're looking at armored targets, but it's a very quick and easy sort of like light, medium, heavy affair when it comes to that.
They drink Sainsbury's decaffeinated tea.
There you go.
Yeah,
decaffeinated tea
for terrain.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yes. The other thing is that units are driven by formations, so it's kind of got that really nice sort of DNA of kind of classic historical war games in there as well, where you got your little bases of troops that are then commanded by someone and then backed up by additional troops and heavy weapons and that kind of thing.
Stooks.
There is sort of like proper true line of sight and all that kind of stuff when it comes in, but it's very casual as a whole setup. The rules. And there are army building elements in there as well, so you can sort of see how things sort of point up when you're building your forces. But that's essentially the kind of table you're looking at when it comes to rolling and fighting. So
super simple. You've light, medium, and heavy armor, and you've light, medium, and heavy guns, and then after that, it's just small arms and stuff. So,
yeah,
I adore this. And one thing we haven't talked about, we always talk about getting kids in to gaming young and go, this would be good for kids because there's limited building or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Here you can just go, let's build some Lego.
Let's build some stuff together and have some fun, yeah.
And then push it around the table and gradually introduce actual rules depending on the age. Because let's face it, Lego, you can start at age 9.
Yeah.
Says so on the box, 9 to 99.
Stop eating the blasters.
Yep.
But being able to actually build a table with like Lego terrain, I think is going to look really, really cool for this as well.
Yeah. So, talking of that,
the trains.
They do all the armies and things, but obviously you could build up a board that just looks like, made of your normal terrain that you already have in the house. If you want to make it brick centric,
oh no, this is what you need.
Get this stuff. Now, I have seen the Oscast over on their Games Night channel build like the Normandy beaches, and it looked. I was going to swear then. It looked phenomenal.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't be swearing on the show, mate.
No. But
take a leaf out of my book.
But when you come and look at some of the stuff that they've designed for this, it's just superb. You've got your forests, you've got your French houses from the villages, you've got bombed out churches, you've got, the HMG nests sitting on the beaches, the bunkers from Normandy. There's even an entire trench system that they developed as well for this.
Oh, there's the idiot. Look at
so
it.
So cool.
Yeah.
In somebody's front garden. I tell you what, this...
The fact that they've put half bricks in to show like bullet holes in the house.
Yeah.
This military modelling kit makes really good buildings. Somebody should think about marketing this for building.
The other thing that I really liked about this as well is that, yes, obviously you can build them as they are, but there's no reason that you can't customize them and build them in different ways. And also, say that church gets hit by a tank round and it takes out the tower. Guess what? Break the tower off and lie it to the side of the building to show that it's been destroyed, and add all that kind of stuff in there as well.
I love that cliff face.
Have a little metal. Well, not metal. One of those little toffee hammers. They were metal, actually, weren't they? You used to get the smash.
Yeah. Oh, I actually saw those in one of the shops we stopped in on the way home. I was going to get one.
See,
Shame I didn't.
You would have been prepped for.
Yeah, I could have just been like,
deconstructing.
Yeah.
Bopping away. I like the BricksKrieg MOD.
Yes. So this is one of the nice things about it. Their community is incredibly vibrant, and they have like a Discord and social media on Facebook and all that kind of thing. And a lot of their designs come from their community. You'll come up with fun and interesting ideas, and then that gets sort of brought through into the eventually what's available to people online. So it's one of those things where, much like with any good community, people are coming up with fun and interesting ways for you to customize and kit bash, essentially brick bash, I suppose, the sort of like buildings that you get on the tabletop, as well as troops and all that kind of thing as well, because this has kind of led into some fun stuff that they've been doing recently. So have a look at the Germans here as well. But
yeah, no, you keep talking. I'm just going to scroll and drill.
One of the nice things they told me. One of the nice things they told me recently is that the Soviets are going to be on the way, and they've been working on some really nice stuff for the Eastern Front. So there is an option on their web store at the moment for that. The models aren't available just yet, but they will be coming very, very soon. And they're working on even more stuff moving into the rest of 2025 and into 2026 as well, where they'll be building things up and sort of adding more to it. What I'd love to see them do, maybe they'll hear this and they'll have a think about it, because they've designed rules and things for their land-based games. I would love to see them have their own take on an aerial combat game doing this, because I think they've already designed things like Hurricanes and Messerschmitts and Stuckers and stuff.
Yeah.
Put together a fun little sort of dogfighting game, and I will buy literally everything.
I would love to see them do some like naval stuff with this.
Yeah, you could easily. There is no limit to what they could plan with this. Now,
as a Danish company says, the only limit is your imagination.
Exactly. Yes. Now, you think that's cool, and we're talking about the limit of imagination. World War II has only just been their starting point.
Ooh.
They are thinking about different historical periods and more. Think about the kind of things you might have played on the sort of table or the floor when you were younger. Think, Cowboys and Indians, bit of, Napoleonic stuff, thinking about your Sharp, all that kind of thing. They have got lots of things in the back of their head for where they want to take new and additional ranges for this. And if the impetus is there from the community, they will go down that route and they will start to bring it to the tabletop and sort of expand it. But as I say, for somebody who's maybe looking at World War II, wanting to get their kids into it, or they just, they can't paint anymore because they're, like Warren and all that kind of stuff, and it's really hard for them to sort of do detail work.
Or they don't want something too heavily historical where you have to know the unit, its full history of they did this on this date and that on that date, and they changed this one part of the unit patch in this year.
Yeah, this
is
could be a perfect option for you to dive into and have some fun with.
Do you need to be able to airbrush to do your 3-color ambush camo?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And even though might sound like I'm blowing smoke up their arse, I genuinely think this is a phenomenal set of stuff for you to play around with.
This is a fantastic idea. So quirky and different that it works.
Yeah. And as I say, you can see this in action on YouTube and all that kind of thing, and obviously watch our interview and that kind of stuff as well. And hopefully we'll play some games using their rules on our tabletops as well.
Yes, hopefully.
So
honestly, like I say, the biggest thing for me is the design work that's gone into it.
It's a phenomenal amount of design work.
They have knocked this one out.
Yeah,
because you can find a whole host of World War II rules all over the place. Doesn't matter where you're getting them from.
Yeah.
These will drop in for any of them. But the idea of sitting down with the Lego components and working out how to make X, Y, and Z. Like, how would you make a Stuka with the ankle wings? No, I'm not doing that. The fact they've managed to do it in a relatively short order, small amount of parts, a relatively equal scale as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the scaling's not going to be like
spot
on, but you're looking at it, you're going, I recognize that silhouette. I recognize that plane. I recognize
good enough to game with.
That half track or whatever.
Now,
is absolutely bajankers, as they say
so
in France. It's madness. It's absolute madness.
One thing I was thinking about recently is I've been watching a lot of James May's stuff over the last while, and he's been doing some really nice things with Airfix and that kind of thing.
Yes.
We know that James May is a big fan of Lego. In fact, he built a house out of it.
He built a house out of it, yeah.
I would love to see James May get his hands on this, because I think he would have an amazing time with it. So I don't know if you probably don't watch OnTableTop, James May.
Could you imagine if he did?
But that would be bloody great, I think.
Oh, I can only imagine, only if he's just hammered a bottle of his own mustard gin. He's just scrolling through YouTube with one hand down his pants.
Oh, what the hell, Gary?
You know how it is. Hang on, I'll just bring this here. It's just lying there at night. You're going, I'm just going to endlessly scroll and scroll. What is this? Well, I'll just watch this for a while. It's just like a bit of drool on his chin. That's the only way he's seeing this.
Lucy Brown. We need some Lego.
We have gone way off base, folks.
Have we really?
Pretty much on fleek, as the kids would say. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if the context is correct or not. Tell me in the comments below. I won't read them. Right. So there you go. BricksKrieg. Absolutely cracking. Check it out. We're going to have a sweet and look at some more news.
Even more news, bitches.
All right. We're back with a ton more news. One of the first big ones. Sort of tangentially attached to World War II, so maybe you could use your bricks for this.
You could.
Actually,
There's no reason why you couldn't.
Yeah, let your 9-year-old build something weird, wild, and wacky.
Yeah. Wallad game has been talking about the upcoming plans for Konflikt 47. So, for those who are unaware, and there's a delightful video with a very handsome young Ben talking to a very nice man from marketing all about Konflikt 47. Konflikt 47 is a weird World War II expansion to World War II. So from 45, something weird happened, a rift opened, people found weird nonsense going on. The war doesn't end. The war doesn't end. Instead, they plow on regardless, using new tech and weird stuff. It was originally a game by Clockwork Goblin.
Yep.
And then it got a new edition that, it ran alongside because they're still doing their 15mm stuff, but it got a new edition that was heavily focused on the bolt action first edition rules with tweaks. So it was kind of a supplemental stand-on type of thing. But it's coming back and they're changing it up quite a bit from all accounts. So the idea will be it's not just a here's your World War II bolt action army with some monsters
Rift
added
tech.
to it.
Yeah.
They are leaning in more to the fact that it is its own thing. Now,
Even
obviously,
in a
you can
battle
still
suit, a
use
shiv still works.
you can still use your World War II armies in conjunction with these because they're still scaled appropriately.
Mhm.
But the core mechanics are taking a little bit of a sideways jaunt. So there are still recognizable parts from bolt action, like drawing dice from the bag and things like that. But there's a greater focus on the rift tech, on the monsters, and on heroes and special characters, to such an extent that there's a whole ton of new fiction coming from Mr. William King Esquire, creator of some of the best of Warhammer novelizations in the past, and Gotrek and Felix as well.
I'll have to give that a gander.
So you can see here some of the Germans, the Stahltruppen coming, walking armored suits, rocking a whole host of weaponry, including drum-fed MG42s, what looks like a Pack 37
of some sort.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 37. Good for punching holes into tanks, humans, and other armored things. And then one of those twisty triangular blades that when it leaves a hole, it can't be stitch shot. So that's always good. When you need to massacre everybody.
Damage.
That's how you know you're an evil bugger.
I also like the fact he's got...
You're willing to shiv someone in the worst way possible?
Exactly, yes.
I also like the Panzerfaust on his shoulder as well, which is quite nice. Obviously, some of these things have existed before. Some are upcoming new kits. There we see the little Vogelspinner. So, walking around the battlefield, creeping, scuttling, very handy for bocage country, where you can just sort of dap up, shoot somebody in the face and dump down again, which is a nice way of doing it. I also like the fact he's got his command aerial. It looks like an umbrella, stripped out the back. Alongside these, the Americans are also getting some interesting new figures. The Fireflies are like jump rangers.
Yes.
Into combat, hit them hard, hit them fast, and then jump out before anything comes your way, which
Tesla
is
energy rifles.
A delightful way of doing things. Yeah, I'm less interested in the energy rifle, more interested in the guy who's decided to jump in carrying a flamethrower. Now I know he is a Firefly, but that's taking things to extreme.
Physics don't work like I thought.
I mean, your flamethrower already says no to cover, so being able to jump higher and really say no to cover.
Yeah,
I'd be more worried about coming down as you're going in
into the fire.
Just flying into a cloud of your own flame is not good. On the plus side, when they're bouncing away, you will be able to try and shoot at their shiny bums. And it's an interesting set of things. Presumably, these will be Wyrd resin.
No,
I would imagine
these are all plastic sets.
Oh, these are all plastic kits. That is
excellent.
Fascinating.
Yep.
So that will be good to see. Because currently, if you were after anything, it would have been metal for the weird and wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Because they are obviously deciding to introduce a whole host of plastics if they're planning on giving everything a big buff up and really leaning into it.
Even that point is going to be plastic.
So that's impressive. The linebacker jump mech or jump walker.
Yep.
I like how they've gone with the aircraft canopy as well, rather than all the other walker mechs, which tend to be very heavily armored and sort of a slit visor or periscope type of thing. Because he is going to be dropping in with your Fireflies. It makes a lot of sense that they need to see what they're going to land on. Sometimes you need to look out the side of the window.
Spotlights beside the canopy as well, so you see where you're coming down on.
I'd probably switch those off, because if two massive spotlights appeared above me and I was on the ground, I'd just be reading a Panzerschreck right up there, Jaxie.
Skadoosh.
Just aim between the two lights, you say, and I'll hit the cockpit. It's worse than the big white cross the Germans had on the side of their tanks.
What's this one? Just marker.
Let's just stop doing that, everyone. I mean, good to shine in the eyes of people when you're on ground level, I suppose. But you don't want to let them know you're coming too badly. That is impressive. Then, if that's going to be a plastic kit, that's absolutely.
I love
sweet like Kanzi.
The big grippy feet design on it. Just the massive claws.
Well, maybe it hangs upside down like a bat when it's not being deployed.
It'll be cool to see what people do with the posing on this, because you could do some really interesting dynamic diorama style things where it's like holding onto the side of a building or something as it's shooting and that kind of thing.
Does that mean the spinner is also going to be
plastic?
So all the resins are going to be eventually subsumed by plastic.
Well,
that's gorgeous.
That's good to know, because it means Warlord is putting some heavy investment into the game.
Yep.
To make those new molds and stuff.
Well, these are going up for pre-order on the 4th of July, time for the Independence Day, which makes sense. To have some Americans leaping about, skipping, jumping, running through trees, whatever it is they do on the 4th of July. But the release is going to be September time, so you're not having too long to wait. And they're planning on, like I said, the rules are going to be taking a sort of a slight slew away from just being bolt action with bits. But one of the things they were saying is they're potentially going to keep the lists as living digital army lists that they can add to and mess around with. And part of that is condensing the nations into 5 factions. So you'll have US, Japan, Axis, which is a blend of currently German and Italy, but I imagine Hungary and Bulgaria and Finland and all the other little mini Axis powers will drop in. Well, no, Japan's going to be separate.
Oh, okay.
But it was why I said it first.
Weird.
And then US and Commonwealth. So those are the 5 factions that they're going to condense the nations down into. But with the use of the army lists, you'll be able to tailor specific armies in a much more detailed way, and they'll be able to go in and points correct or tweak or change things as gaming progresses. So you shouldn't lose anything from the actual build of your army. And if you're already a Konflikt 47 player, you should be able to still field the armies that you have in the past.
All be compatible.
So you're not losing anything out. But if you're just getting into it, it should be more diverse with list building, but easier to get into, I think is the plan for that in the long run. I'm fascinated to see. They obviously have big plans ahead. Correct in thinking Andy Chambers is involved again.
Andy Chambers, Gav Thorpe.
Gav as well.
I think Alessio's on board as well.
Ooh,
they've basically plumbed the depths of Games Workshop alumni and brought them back.
The 3 Kings were working on it then.
Yeah. Obviously, Bill King, as we mentioned before, is doing stuff. They've got new artists, new designers, lots of people involved, telling stories, building up the world for this and all that kind of thing as well. So, yeah. It'll
be fascinating to see where it goes and what adjustments they make beyond the bolt action rules. Obviously, it was a very easy step for players to make if they were already playing bolt action. But then you became limited in what the games designer could do with actual new units because you were constricted in what bolt action is. So there were an awful lot of additional keywords and additional special rules for units that it wasn't particularly bloaty, but it was particularly annoying if you were sitting down and going, all right, well, these are these, and they've got hardened fighters and tough and this and that and the other. So even though they've only got this stat line, they actually behave completely differently than something else with a similar stat line, and it got a bit conflicting in that regards. So by not being as constricted in having to adhere to the actual bolt action rules with bits stuck on, hopefully they'll be able to come up with a game that's more bespoke to the situation that they're trying to recreate on the tabletop. And also having the named characters in there as well should be a lot of fun, because you don't really see that hugely in bolt action. There are some named heroes or legends, whatever they want to call it, but they tend to be few and far between. Whereas this, I think if you're going to go for this larger than life fantastical version
throw in
of World War II, then
villains,
go the whole hog. Have somebody
DJ Blazkowicz and everyone else in between.
That's exactly it. Somebody somewhere needs to shoot Hitler in the balls, and it's going to be some random fella And that's what we want to see.
Called Carl Fairburn from Sniper Elite.
Maybe, for example. But
you
yeah,
get a special achievement if you shoot Hitler's balls in that game. So
you do, yeah. Well, it's a difficult target because there's only one of them.
Yeah.
Half the size.
Which side do you go for? Which way does he dress?
All these questions and so much more. But yeah, so looking forward to seeing where Konflikt goes in the future.
Wow.
Just seeing how it all comes to play, and yeah, just the direction that they take for it. And it's about time it got a bit more focus. I think in the past few years, more has come out from Clockwork Goblin 15mm than from Warlord Games for 28. It really has been on the back burner massively. So it's nice to see it's not dead. Rumors of its demise are greatly exaggerated, and it seems to be coming back bigger, stronger than ever, and more of its own thing as well. So yeah, if you're interested, keep your eye out. There's going to be more information over the next month and the lead up to the pre-order, and then between the pre-order and actual launch, you'll get tons of stuff. I expect. Who knows? We may even get a look at it ourselves.
I think
that's how we're feeling. Yes. Time will tell. Right. Pushing away from the fantastical and into the historical, WoFun, the world of fun.
Yeah, one of your favorites, Jerry.
Into your home. I am a whore for these guys. They are. It's not spectacular new, but they have updated the website recently and put a few things front and center, including the historical wargaming starter packs. So for people who maybe don't have the time, effort, or inclination to paint, WoFun are flats, as they call them in the old days. They are acrylic currently. I'll say currently. Acrylic standees that are painted or printed with various factions, nations, whatever. They come in a variety of sizes as well, and from a couple of different artists. There is a fantasy set. There's some ships if you want to do Trafalgar. There's 18mm and 28mm. And then there's also stuff done by Peter Dennis where they're licensed to use his paper boys, which means you get a whole range of different styles, depending on what you want to play. So these have been around for a little while, but they've sort of rejigged the website and put them front and center. So when you're getting these starter packs, they will give you an army or sometimes two for a specific conflict. Let's put it like that. Not necessarily an action, although there are things like the Waterloo set, which is a very specific battle. And then they also are accompanied by a set of rules. The rules are in the main written by Andy Callan, he of Bill Hooks and other fame. So Andy and Peter are great friends, and it's really nice to see that Andy, who'd been doing stuff for WoFun before Peter got on board, those rules are available. And these are just a sort of a run through some of the things you can get. So while it says 318 WoFun minis, I will say the way they count minis is the same way that 6mm and 10mm people count them. It's individual people on a strip. So you won't get 318 strips. You'll get an amount of strips, and each with 4 in the case of the 28s. In case of the 10s or 18s, you'll see probably more like 8 or 9 across a rank instead, as they get more expansive. But the prints themselves are gorgeous. I backed a very original Kickstarter to set the company up where they were more cartoonish. I still like those. My Persian Peloponnesian stuff is that, and I love it to bits. But I am planning on getting my hands on a absolute ton of Napoleonics to do my Napoleonic warfare, because it's something I've wanted to do for years, but I have come to the realization I will never buy them and paint them.
That's always the intimidation with Napoleonics, is there is so much to do if you want to do it at the right size.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even in it could be any period for me, but I'm hitting that point where I'm going to go, the chances of me ever finishing a project is absolutely nil. So I may as well go for it.
And when Peter's done such gorgeous artwork, you might as well use it. So
Oh, 100%. The thing, and there's some really nice things with the WoFun stuff. For example, they come with a specific set of bases. You can choose to not get the bases with them, or if you're ranking them up in a for a specific game. I know people have got in contact with guys in Romania and just gone, not Romania, Transylvania, and have gone, I need the command stand to be in the center and I need this many strips per base. And then they've done them for them.
Oh, wow.
So they're very open to people getting in contact and going, on your English Civil War sheet, for example, the sheet will contain, it's like a frame, like a sprue, but it will have so many bits on it and it'll go, well, this one's got a red flag and this one's got a yellow flag. I actually need somebody with like 2 white flags on there for specific regiment in the English Civil War. And they have been able to go in and go, okay, well, we'll tweak stuff. So sometimes it'll cost a bit more if you're going to go into tweaking stuff.
Customizing.
But these,
fit you.
Yeah, customization. But they are very open to doing things like that.
That's nice.
And the things we're looking at here are their standard sort of starter sets with those rules. But they have done sets for other people as well. So they have a range of starter sets for Mortem et Gloriam. So if you fancy playing that ancient rule set, then you can pick up starter armies specifically made for Pacto, where it has the right amount of figures for the elements that make up a Pacto army for Meg. Likewise, they've also done the same for Warwick Kinraid's Soldiers of Rome. I know Piers got in contact with them and was asking about this. So this is how this came about a while ago. Mm-hmm. So it was literally like, if people want to play Soldiers of Rome, it's a really fun little game. You don't have to use flats for it. The rule set is out there, although tricky to find, so I don't know if it's going to get a reprint. But if you happen to have picked it up and you're looking to play, you can pick up the all-in, or you can pick up individual armies or whatever. So you can do your ancient battles in that respect, again, using these sort of pre-built armies, which are absolutely great. So they're not just doing their own stuff. They have specific or bespoke sets for specific rule sets as well, depending on whether or not creators have got in contact with them, which I think is absolutely corking. Mm-hmm. And then as far as the rules go, these have been added to the website. These weren't there for previously. So if you bought the set, you got the rules with them, but they've added them all now, so you can actually see things like the rules for Imperial Rome and that sort of thing. And they are, like I say, written by Andy Callan. They are a very simple set of rules, so 14 pages. And some of those are the covers. So you're probably looking at maybe only about 8 pages of actual rules in there. Once you get past things like the intro, what constitutes a company, how many bases, how do attachments work, everything you need to know to get somebody introduced to wargaming. And this was the whole premise of WoFun when they started. It is about engaging,
getting your game on,
people in history, not just wargaming, but obviously the history of warfare is there. Because it's very easy to go, ooh, shiny Space Marine versus massive Gribbly monster. That's great. But there's an awful lot. I mean, the history of warfare has shaped the planet remarkably. So using this as a good introduction for historicals is a great way to go. And the rules are simple, but they have a lot of depth and strategy that you can go into. When you're playing, it's not a light, fluffy game, but it is a very simple game to pick up. So you get the feel that you're playing a proper Napoleonic or ancient rule set.
Scales very nicely as well to larger fights after you've gone through the starter packs, which is always good. So
yes. My favorite part of this is if I skip to the end. Where are we? Oh, of course you wouldn't be on the last page. There we go. Final words of advice. No wargame rules, however long and detailed, can ever hope to cover the possible sets of circumstances. This, from the beginning of the wargame, get the little quote from H.G. Wells. There's not a piece of constructive legislation in the world that we do not regard as more charitable for our efforts to get right the result from an apparently easy and puerile business of fighting with tin soldiers. And
fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the words of wisdom from I suppose one of the first wargame rule writers. I know some people will say he is the first published home version, but obviously the Prussians beat him to the punch with actual rule set. But I will say, even though these are acrylic sets, the reason I said they're currently acrylic is they are working on doing them in metal.
Oh.
So if you're worried about the robustness
Wow.
of your flats being a bit cracky on occasion, there is plans to do painted/printed color onto metal frames instead.
Wow.
Which will be like classic flats then.
Oh.
Will be more expensive.
Yeah.
The deluxe edition.
But I'm 100% on board.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, because I have snapped 1 or 2 acrylic lances and spears here and there by being
Easy done.
a bit cack-handed with it. And
well.
I don't like having to re-glue things because it messes up the thing. I will say, if you're doing them in 10 or 18 mil, by the way, the depth is pretty much spot on for the width of the human. So you don't notice the fact they're flats, but they are like shiny, glossy acrylic. So you might want to go in with a paint pen or a Sharpie and just
black out the edges.
repaint the edges.
If you view them from a certain angle, they just all disappear as well. So.
Stealth. I didn't realize your hussars were on my flank, for they were coming at an oblique angle and had faded into non-existence.
It's just a shimmer on the horizon.
And
it's like the predator coming for you.
Became a problem.
Yeah.
Here comes the predators
the
coming my way.
Beast of Trial. There we go.
Yes. So, like I say, if you're into any historical period and a bit of fantasy as well, they do some really nice 28mm flats from a designer, which are for people who play RPGs with miniatures. You can get 28mm sort of flats for that as well. So handy if you're a GM and you don't want to have a massive box of stuff. You can just pop a little pre-printed standee on the table for your month stores, and you could use them in skirmish games and stuff as well.
Very much so.
Yeah. Bitchin'. Right. We have a final bit of news.
Yes.
Talking about month stores in the 28th.
Yes, this is something that makes me, myself, and I very, very happy. The Walking Dead All-Out War is seeing some new Survivor sets coming along down the pipeline. So there are 3 thereof. Our first one, now, I will say our first one is the only one we've seen that is marked as Mastercraft resin, so the other ones may come in plastic. I just want to preface that before we dig in. But we'll see. We will see.
The other ones come in the other resin.
Okay.
The older resin, maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Well, our first one is the Hilltop collection. In this set, we are seeing Gregory, Dante, Earl, Brianna, Harlan, and Marco, all looking rather wonderful and lovely. Thank you for derailing me, Jerry. I love you very much.
You're welcome. Anytime. It's good. Helps. Good times.
But again, it's a nice little set of 6 miniatures that you're going to be able to fold into your perhaps already existing collection of All-Out War to actually, play some different tactics, some different missions, maybe run a fresh narrative campaign or PV campaign if that's what you're after. We then are also getting Magna's group, which we have Magna, Yumiko, Connie, Bernie, Luke, and Kelly all in the mix. Unfortunately, one of them has lost a hand. It seems to be a very common thing in this world. Get bit in the hand, just no, we're taking that. We're taking it off. Yeah. It's the only way to live.
I mean, they left a good bit of stumpage.
Oh yeah.
Tie something on there. Yeah. It's nice to see Magna out and about as well. Technically not the leader. She's the leader. Definitely the leader. Otherwise, they would never have made it from Florida.
And our last one, we have a group of the saviors. So we have Dwight, Martin, Seth, Carson, Davis, and Mark. I do like seeing someone rolling about on a motorcycle, but is that Lucille? He shouldn't have that.
Sure not.
Well, I haven't got that far in the comics yet. Myself and the missus have been diving head first into the comics.
But there's going to be a massive spoiler coming up for you.
Well, damn and blast. I don't mind.
I will say that Saviors is something of an ironic name for this group. They're not nice people.
No.
They are the saviors.
Yep.
I will say, having watched through the whole TV series and now reading the comics, it's so different. If you think it's just 1-to-1, no. Go and read the comics if you have not already. If you are that far behind like me,
and that's what Mantic have always based all that war on. Essentially,
it's
very
the
much
license was always
like
for the
Skybound.
comics.
Yeah, although they did a Lee and Clementine, didn't they, from the video games as well? But
funnily, that actually comes in the 2024 collector's set, which I bought.
Oh, cool.
At Salute,
nice.
or not Salute, at Expo. Sorry, my brain is still theoretical. And it is actually on sale at the minute. So I think that works out to about 25% off.
Very nice.
Which is very, very nice.
Yeah.
So in that set, you're getting everything you need to play, all your main characters. You're getting Lee, Clementine, all your hard plastic terrain, which I love, as well as all your cardboard bits. Your gaming mat. I'm surprised you get a massive amount of all of the equipment cards and event cards and stuff.
Oh,
it looks like a lot of it has been folded in.
Yeah.
Well, you need them all. What way have you split this up, Mantic? How very dare you? It didn't go from Lee to Clementine. She's over there.
There she is.
And then, so they were before they got the license back again, they would do event miniatures on a yearly basis. So they came as a pair, I think, at the end. However, he is also a previous event exclusive or season exclusive as well. I can't remember his name, which is a terrible shame, but it's a really nice set if you've not got them before. But yeah, the event cards, you're burning through those on a turn basis anyway.
Yeah.
So you need all of those for gameplay, which is nice.
But I mean, even for your equipment cards, I mean, the stack at home was about yay tall for those tiny itty bitty cards. So basically, you get this, you get all of the paperwork you're going to need, save for character cards, whenever you're buying the expansion sets for the different chapters of the comic, which is how they seem to have broken it down now. So I am well up for this, very happy with this. So
yeah,
I think every single month there will be an expansion bought for me from here till Christmas.
Yeah. Also, if there is the show special for the new year, so you can get Jesus.
Yes.
Paul. Have you met Paul yet?
No, I haven't met Paul yet. I've only got up to the prison where they've just met the prisoners.
Oh, you've got so far to go.
It's literally Christ on a bike. There you go.
It is. He's Paul Monroe.
No, okay.
Paul Monroe, but everybody calls him Jesus because he's long hair and bearded.
There you go.
And he is a bit of a savior, unlike the saviors who are complete scumbags. What I will say is, with the addition of the Hilltop, the Saviors and Magnus group, it does mean you're now primed for fighting out the Battle of Hilltop.
Oh wow!
Because the Kingdom's already out there.
Yep, it is.
Again, so there you go, Kingdom.
Yeah. Again, this is kind of my plan. Is what I want to do is each month, myself and my missus will play through the campaign for the current chapter set of miniatures we have. And then as we move into the new month, we get the next set brought in, start working on building, painting, and getting it just done together as a couple. So this will be like a couples project for us.
That's really awesome. I like that.
Which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah.
Stay tuned for like hopeful hobby updates. I just need a clear day so I can get everything primed to start. And she has also thrown down the gauntlet. So you see the way you get the hard plastic vehicles in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm doing a truck and a car. She's doing a truck and a car, and she wants to see who does it better. So that'll be one I'll throw out to the community when we have them done.
Nice.
Fancy. So I'd really The Walking Dead's a fantastic system.
Really is.
And the way it goes through for the narrative side of things is cracking. I don't know if we will see a call to arms again.
I think
but that's okay because I own it.
They'll probably try and keep it simple, I think, going forward.
But a call to arms was the miniature skirmish game. So 20-inch square board for The Walking Dead All Out War.
Yes.
Which is the narrative game where you can play solo and co-op as well.
Solo co-op,
memory serves.
We're going to try and do like a co-op campaign, I think.
Does it include the solo rules?
It does. So within that set, you get the big compendium. So it has absolutely everything. So your core rules are in there.
That's good.
Your campaign stuff is in there. Your PvP stuff is in there. The only thing, surprisingly, that's not in the box is the little quick start sheet you used to get. You know, the tiny booklet? Surprisingly, that's not in there. That's my only itty bitty teeny weeny disappointment for it. But I am happy as a pig in shite.
I mean, why would you not be?
Or a walker in guts.
There you go.
Also, yes, there's a lot going on for it. It's all good in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad to see it back. It'll be interesting to see
Growing as well.
what happens in the long run, because they were just trying to get. I mean, they got about half of the kingdom out before the license went defunct previously, and now they're going, well, kingdom's here, and hilltops here, and everything else is here, there, and everywhere.
There's much to explore.
And because the rules are set up in such a way that you can build your own characters as well.
Oh, we're going to do that. And we might go to Hero Forge and get a couple of miniatures of ourselves made.
Good idea. Yeah.
Because you can really go nuts with it. As a rule set, it's a really stonkingly solid rule set. Especially if you want to do something like Shaun of the Dead, for example. You want to go to Hasselfree and pick up Shaun and what was Nick Frost's character called? I'm going to call him Nick.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Well, he
is just Nick Frost. Yeah. You can do that. Just do it all in England.
There is one other thing I want to do. I want to get, like, next time Bree's like niece and her fella are up, I want to set up our old. You remember the old super mall we had, the table we had for the boot camp? Yeah. We still have everything for that, so I want to get that broke out again in the gaming club, get it set up, bring them in a day to play.
Yeah.
Sweet, like candy. Just for people. That's the anthology set that you have. So it comes with it.
Yes, so it has absolutely everything.
Yeah. So, first part, rules. Second part, building your survivors, scenarios, PvP, campaigns, and then the actual narrative campaign in there as well, which is good.
Yeah. And the narrative campaign's got the chapters broken down in, and that's how I'm going to buy out my next sets. So I'm going to use that as my purchasing guide.
Love it.
Look how you can... Who works together, who doesn't work with anybody. Nobody likes the whispers. And the saviors are complete scumbags.
Of course.
Hello, everyone. So, the blank survivor cards. Ooh, I'm assuming Mantic will put those back up. They have the Walking Dead game.com or something like that. I will have a look and see. There's a specific Walking Dead page that you go to rather than the Mantic page. So the survivor cards that you could go in and make your Ronnie Renton if you wanted to was there.
Yeah.
But
there was a little
building
thing,
stuff was just spanking.
There was a little thing I did notice. Or actually, no, I'm not going to tell people because I want to get it myself first. I'm not going to blow the beans.
Right.
I'm not going to blow the beans. Once I have it, I will tell you. Once I have it, I will tell you.
We need to know.
There is a little freebie thing that I think you can get if you're ordering in. So if you see it and get it, go you. If not, let me get one. Let me get one before you do it, before you all dive in and take it on me.
Oh, now I need to find out what you're talking about. What is it? Just tell people.
It's a set.
You're terrible.
It's a set of miniatures you get. It currently reads 0 cost on the Mantic website, and it's like 3 event exclusives and the Zombie Ronnie.
I see.
Leave one for me.
Is that because they're part of the Mantic points?
Well, it generates points and it costs no money. So
no, I mean, there's a thing called Mantic points.
Yes,
that when you open a box, you get a Mantic point,
and
then you can send in so many of those to get them.
Well, it's just it's on the web store.
We'll have to
and
find
you can add to basket.
Yeah, there you go.
So
that's how the Mantic points work.
Okay,
but then you have to ship them their points before they ship you the stuff back.
Oh well, I have never used Mantic points, so I have no idea of the function. Jerry's just where is it?
Yeah. Because I'm trying to find it to see whether or not it's actually there or if it's gone somewhere weird. No, I can't find it right now, so I'll not worry about it.
Okay.
People at home, have a look. You may or may not require a ton of Mantic points to get it. Be lucky. Right. I think we'll have a little switch. When we come back, we'll have a look at some Kickstarter campaigns.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
All right, then we have a couple of Kickstarters to look at. Both RPG based, not DW RPG, but real RPGs. So we're going to be starting off with what appears to be dwarves. Ben,
kind of, yes.
You surprised me, Mr. Man.
So this is Oathhammer, which is by Broken Blade Publishing, and this is their new D6 RPG, which allows you to build classic mighty heroes of valor and old who will be heading to a fantasy landscape to find glory and defeat terrible monsters and send villains packing, kicking them off the top of towers and all that kind of good stuff. The project, sort of like background to this, is that it's got plenty of hex crawling DNA built into it as you head to the place called the Osric Isle, which once used to be lorded over by proud dwarven clans.
That's not us.
But now finds itself overrun by cruel monsters. And so what you do in the game is you're heading there to find fame and fortune and glory and gold and everything else in between as you fight and delve deeper into the ruins that once existed of this dwarven land to reclaim it once again. Now,
surprisingly, a lot of the characters we're seeing in the art look incredibly concerned.
Well, yes.
Like,
it is called,
I done goofed.
Yeah, it is called the Perilous D6 dice system, hence why everyone looks very scared, I'd imagine. One of the nice things about it mechanically is that it's driven by, as I say, D6, which are formed into pools of dice that you roll as you're doing all of your actions. Now, fun thing about this is that it includes exploding dice as part of the mechanics. So, for anyone who's not heard of exploding dice before, when you roll the highest value on your D6, it allows you to roll it again. And if you get another 6, you roll it again and again and again until you stop. The basic sort of like mechanic of it is that you're looking for a 4+ on your dice to attack and do any damage to someone or pass a check. Essentially what the GM will do, the storyteller will tell you how many successes you need in order to succeed. It might be the case that you simply just need 1 success. That would be like, opening a door or, lifting a box or something like that. But if it was something more complicated, you'd throw more and more successes in there to make it harder and harder for the individuals. They're all looking for 4+ in order to survive and, dodge traps and all that kind of good stuff. When you do any of these rolls, it's simply a mixture of your skill plus your ability plus any bonuses you might have, and then you roll those out. There are some twists in the tale, however, in that white dice are what most people will be rolling, and that is your sort of standard dice for games of Oathhammer. But some monsters will also have black and red dice, and they will succeed on 3+ and 2+, respectively, which makes them slightly more deadly, of course, when they're rolling for all of their abilities and all that kind of good stuff. The other thing that makes Oathhammer slightly more unique is that the prime focus of the game is that you are heroes of valor. You are honorable, mighty warriors who have been sent to Osric Isle to defeat the evil bad guys that live there. It is a proper, like, kind of black and white style world. Interestingly, all characters then have to choose, when they build their heroes, 3 oaths that they live by. And if you roleplay those oaths and carry them out during your games, you'll get pluses and bonuses and things to anything you do. However, if you ever break your oaths, then you'll get a minus that will affect your character. So the whole onus is on the games master and the storyteller to throw you into interesting decision-making moments where you have to think about whether or not you do go down the route of, I never will kill an individual. But if you sort of throw something into the mix where someone is just, terrifying your party, causing death and destruction all over the place, do you go over and drive your sword into his heart and break your oath to finally kill him? And therefore, save the greater good, but then, suffer the fallout on the other side of it.
So I shove the angry drunk back and away from me. He trips, falls, and cracks his skull off the fireplace. Whoops, I killed somebody.
Dun, dun, dun. As I say, it's all sort of driven by hex crawl style adventuring as well. So you'll be moving from hex to hex as you go around the world of the Osric Isles, uncovering all sorts of different things as you do, solving puzzles, defeating monsters, and defeating evil villains like necromancers and everything else between. It also features absolutely gorgeous artwork by Justin Gerard, who has done really wonderful art across a variety of other role-playing games. But I think he has really sold the look and the feel of what Oathhammer is. What's quite nice about it too is that the quick start for this game is one of the best quick start sets that I think I've ever picked up. It has incredibly detailed stuff in there for actually making your characters. So there's no pre-gens in the set. You just kind of go in and just make them as you do. And it's got proper full-on rules for building your heroes. It's got a really nice bestiary in there as well. Good ideas for building up characters and developing your own dungeons and that kind of thing. So it's a properly fully fleshed out set of quick start rules that obviously will then translate into something a little bit deeper once you dive into the physical rules that you can get, or digital ones, I suppose, as well, from the Kickstarter itself. There are a couple of different options in there as well. You can obviously get things like maps and all sorts of stuff in there too, if you want to kind of build things up. But in essence, a very sort of small, I suppose you'd say, role-playing game in comparison to things like what we saw with Daggerheart and that kind of thing. But lots of sort of depth and nitty-gritty in there for people who want to sort of take their role-playing games in a different direction. I think it's a fun little system. I like the oath mechanics in there. It should be fun for people who've maybe got a little bit tired of D&D 5e or something and you want to move into a different style of fantasy game. Maybe go and have a look at Oathhammer and what they've been doing, and potentially port your characters over and try some new adventures within their own world. So
I just see Jerry picking his pledge there.
It is pretty cheap as well, all things considered, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah,
I mean, it's nice to see such an interesting little take on, I suppose, alignments.
Yeah,
is the best way to put it. Because generally what happens is somebody picks an alignment and then it gets ignored for all time.
You're meant to be good. Stop killing everything you see.
Yeah. Or, you're meant to be a bit random and yet you spend 10 minutes mapping out in your head exactly, or around the table, exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And you go, and there's no chaos here. Everything is precisely planned. How exactly are you chaotic? So actually making them play their characters is great. Because otherwise you're not role playing, you may as well just be playing a skirmish game.
Well, I mean, my current Eladrin Druid, every single session forgets that he is not a frontline character. So he is up front, sneaking and scouting, falls onto goblins and gets taken out in one round.
Wow. Well done.
It fits.
I also wanted to point out they've done a really interesting twist on magic and prayers in this game as well. So there is essentially no limit to the amount of spells you can cast. So it's not like the kind of like classic fantasy and systems and things that you might expect from D&D and that kind of thing with slots. So you can just keep casting magic, but slowly as you keep casting spells, every time you fail, it builds up stress and things as part of your character, and eventually get to the point where you just kind of like burn out like a battery. And then at that point, you just cannot cast spells for the rest of the day. So you have to like really kind of like push that kind of risk and reward thing. The other thing sort of tying into that is miracles, where you can just keep casting miracles and doing all sorts of different things and casting prayers and healing people. But if you abuse that power and use it too much, the gods are like, they turn off the tap. So it's all again about role playing that element of your character rather than it just being a purely mechanical thing, which I think is really, really cool. So yeah,
it's not a miracle if it's an everyday occurrence.
Exactly. If you keep healing everybody,
people become blasé. The god is just
make sure to carry a small pouch of offerings to go, I am sorry. This is for you. Forgive me.
Exactly. Yes.
Burn them all.
Just send them some dorayaki.
Right. Funded, and 23 days left on it as well. So if you're interested in getting involved in Oathhammer, definitely grab the quick start and have a wee nosy about it before you get rolled right in there. Right, we have a final Kickstarter, and this one is also an RPG. This time, a double dip helping from the folks over at Free League Publishing for Dragonbane, or Daggerheart, if you happen to be Scandinavian. This time it's, like I said, a double dip. There are 2 books coming, although you don't have to get the 2. You can get them individually. There's Arkand, the City of Waves and Flames, and also the majestic Book of Magic, which I was hoping for a more spectacular tome name, but hey ho, it is what it is. So these add to the award-winning Dragonbane. What?
Super funded.
Well, yeah, it would be because Free League. they don't They don't do shit.
They don't mess around.
No, that's fair. I'm just like, whoo, mama.
Yeah. So the Arkand, the City of Waves and Flames, is a new area for you to play on the world. The original Dragonbane book / starter set was set within the Misty Vale that had recently become de-orked to a extent that allowed people to go in and explore the area that the Dragon Emperor and his sort of clandestine clan used to roam about from. The idea with Dragonbane is the mythical past, order and chaos butted heads in the form of dragons and demons. The Dragon Empire sort of were the good guys until they became the bad guys. It got very grim and dark overall. This moves you away to the lovely port city of Arkand, a rich, bustling city, and it is absolutely magnificently huge. You'll see there's a map unlocked a bit later on that will give you an idea of the size of it. But you've gone from running around a mountain-surrounded vale full of swamps and forests and that sort of thing to playing out in a port that allows you to obviously go up onto ships and poke around or run into back alleys and slap people upside of the heads. So there's 5 districts with a host of campaign areas and starting hooks and that sort of thing in there, as the players are going to be sort of involved in looking through the underworld of Arkand and working out what's going on and what is happening with the demons. So the player characters, rather than being an adventuring band of murder hobos looking for gold, now they're going to be taking on the role of demon hunters, which is, I'm assuming, going to be perfectly fine. Nobody will get absolutely smashed.
Nothing of value was lost.
Yeah. No, well, 100%. So the city itself is, like I say, this expansive port city, and as you can see from Johann's illustration there, it's huge and spiraling upwards. So all the nice people live up top and all the poor people live down at the bottom in the shit, as is their want in life. Some little bits and pieces that have been added in there. They did a whole My Mini Factory campaign, which was a collaboration between Titan Forge and Free League, where they created models based on Johann's illustrations, and this is one of the things they've unlocked. So Achilles, the gentleman who really likes unusual animals and has plans for them, but one of those plans is he's not the one to collect them. So he'll be one of the NPCs sending people out to go and fetch him stuff for his dirty, 100%. Just because I know what they do doesn't mean I want to see them do it firsthand. You go and fetch me one of these gribbly things. And I love how they've taken Johann's peculiar illustration style and turned it into a miniature.
Wonderful.
Some of these pledges are digital, some are physical, so some rewards will be capped depending on where you are coming in from. If you are Swedish, well done you. So that's Arkand, which is a whole area and campaign that you can play within. It was got name checked in the Path to Glory, the campaign system they did a little while ago. So it's just an increasing part of the world building that's been going for a little while. So you'll be able to get in here and investigate whatever ne'er-do-wells are working within the city, meet the new people, and then set fire to the buildings, which is generally how it goes. So everybody down to the witless unicorn for a couple of flagons of ale and find out what's happening in the world. And this is generally my party members are this guy here. They want to be these guys, and they pick fights like they're these guys, but they're him. Paul,
go to the local orphanage, find the old lady running it, shake the lies out of her to figure out what's happening. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, never do any of that. Well, probably do all of that. So, City of Waves and Flames, campaign setting and adventure, and that cloth mat by Francesca. We did some of the artwork for Gloomhaven and Frosthaven.
Yes.
And Conan. You little Conan fan,
God, I love Conan.
So you can see there just how large the city is as it goes all the way up to that castle. Plenty of room for your
skullduggery
party to explore. And I like how they're starting to expand Dragonbane and the world bit by bit. Obviously, an awful lot of people have been writing stuff using Free League's publishing. They're sort of
The open source rules,
but this is a whole other way of doing things now.
Mm-hmm.
The other book, which is the book O Magique, adds 5 more types of magic to your world. So currently, if you're playing Dragonbane, there are sort of general magic, animism, elementalism, mentalism itself, and each of them has sort of ranked spells, and then there's also tricks, and some tricks can be used by everybody. So wizards can pick when they're building what way they're going to go. This will be adding in a whole host of new things: demonology, necromancy, witchcraft, illusionism,
and harmonism. Yeah.
And harmonism, where you harm people. However, they do have plans for more, depending on how far they get that stretch goals. In fact, I think they've already unlocked symbolism. So I don't know how these are going to. It's all about the harm. So these will open up how magic is used. It will open up new ways to play characters and to generate NPCs as well for your campaign. So if you're after some sort of terrible evil magician doing a lot of harm with harmonism, then you can do that. And then if one of your players wants to be a helpful type by resurrecting that lady's dead husband, then necromancy can be be a nice necromancer.
Engage in a bit of surrealism as well. Just in
he
case.
Can stay at home with her and don't mind the fact that she keeps shrieking and hiding in the cupboard. Her husband's home.
Sounds like a Black Mirror.
You've done good.
Sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
Well,
it really does.
The knight pledges his shield to your cause. The necromancer promises your husband.
One of the fun things about the magic is you can see there it's written by 2 of the writers of Symbaroum, and then Thomas has come in to do some editing afterwards. So Matthias and Matthias have done the writing in here. So Symbaroum is very gothic, heavy fantasy, dark fantasy, and I like the fact that they've got them in to give their idea on how magic works within
magic should have
Dragonbane. So it's great. If you want to pick it up, you can pick up regular versions, digital versions, the delightful green faux leather versions, and also there are bits and pieces. If you do digital gaming, you can also get Alchemy of Foundry versions for your RPGs online.
Yep.
And they've been banging through stretch goals like no tomorrow. It's either or. In most cases, they're flipping back and forward, and every now and again they'll do a cross-compatible one, like a quality of life upgrade to the books, like adding bookmarky ribbons, that sort of thing. But you can see extra adventures going in, more magic items to
I love the duck.
annoy your party with. An adventure with a angry mallard. So that's going to be fun. Everybody likes angry mallards. They do kick off like Daffy / Donald. It's their racial ability. You can just absolutely go ham. So next up we have, where are we at? Another adventure and alchemy to be added to the Book of Magic.
You've got to have an ism on
Yes.
Horrible concoctions.
Dragonbane, absolutely delightful.
Lovely game.
I have no idea what this means. I looked at it a couple of times and tried to work it out, and I give up.
If you're on this pledge, you get this. Maybe.
Yeah. You tell me what's going on with any of that, because I haven't a notion. But
you know how to fix that, Jerry. You go all in.
I don't need to go all in already. I just need the new stuff. But if you haven't come across Dragonbane before, it's based on the old RuneQuest / Garantha system, but they've taken the percentile dice away and changed it to D20, because apparently kids love D20s. I am planning on just going back to percentile, because D20 is starting to annoy my happiness. But Ellie has done a great set of videos on how you generate a character, how you play the game, what combat works like, how magic works, that sort of thing. Ellie's an absolute delight, and her lesson Let's Play got turned into a campaign.
Full book.
So we've got that, and Man of the River is coming soon. So season 2 of her campaign's coming, and they started during, just prior to COVID, I think.
Okay.
And it's just really nice. If you're looking to get an idea of Dragonbane, though, those videos are cracking. And because Ellie lives in America, they're in English, but also because she is Swedish, there are Swedish versions of them as well.
Brilliant.
So, and she's an absolute delight to listen to. I will say, you were talking about magic in Oathhammer.
Mm-hmm.
Magic and combat in Dragonbane is incredibly intuitive / easy as well. For combat, it's really simple. If you're a GM, you never have to roll. All your monsters hit automatically.
Yep.
So
the players just have to avoid it. Yeah. So.
Yes, it comes down to your party working out what's going on. A party will not survive an encounter. They shouldn't, simply because the GM kept fluffing dice rolls, which is perfect for me because I keep fluffing dice rolls. So instead, the impetus is on them to execute a plan correctly. And magic, unlike the likes of D&D, for example, where you are limited in how many spells you can cast before you have to go off and have a lie down, which means magicians tend to be very the nuclear option, shall we say. They go in, they do something, and then they can't do it, especially at low level. It's very demoralizing to play a wizard at low levels because you've got such a minimum impact. You do something once, and if you fluff your roll, you give it up. You've got much better resources from willpower. However, once your willpower is expended, you can start to burn blood. You can actually take a physical damage to do more damage. And we've seen wizards in some of the games I've been running essentially being held up by their compatriots because they are just burning the candle at both ends to try and nuke a white.
Very first blood. Well, first law.
It's fantastic. It's just great. When the willpower goes, then blood magic will work. So already funded massively. Running for another 20 days. 20 days. So if you want to get those for Dragonbane, you can do. And if you've not already got Dragonbane in the add-ons, you can pick that up. Or actually, you can pick up any of the other Free League RPGs that they've done previously. So if you fancy looking at those and you're already shipping stuff, then you can grab those. I'd just get in there and just get the 2 books and the map and go on with your life. If you've already got Dragonbane, because it opens up the world so much. My little group haven't even got out of the Misty Veil yet. We've not even got the Path of Glory. We're going to have to start running. Run faster, people.
And just as a reminder, Oathhammer, if you want to go down a different fantasy route, has 23 days left. So plenty of time.
Fair.
Right.
Fancy.
Gripped. Sorted. Let's off-road. That's us done for another week. We'll be back again next Friday for more of the same, or you can join us on Sunday morning over at OnTableTop.com for the Cult of Games, where we can have a little chat about what we got when we were over at UKG. Spoilers. Justin got The Walking Dead. Right. We'll see you soon. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.